Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Honestly, this conversation is something I heard my parents talk about. They say, "Oro buruku." It's not something to laugh about. It shouldn't be. It's not a smiley situation because while we can always talk about the importance of going to court, prosecuting the case, like Nima said, which is the reality in Nigeria, is many times you get to the police station to say, oh, somebody touched my child or somebody abused this person. Watch the response you would get would make you feel discouraged about pursuing it. You might get something, well, let me leave justice to God, which is a very common saying that God is the judge of all. Let me forgive and move on. So, but there are side effects to it, which means that an innocent person is walking free. But before we went on break, I said we should talk about grooming and how to highlight people that might, or maybe things that we don't see as grooming but might be grooming. So can you?
Okay, but first I just wanted to say that, remember, as a society, we've come from a place where rape victims were forced to marry their perpetrators. That was a way to get them. Yes. No, that was our history. So we felt that if she was raped, to cover the shame, you marry the person that has raped you. And that is some form of compensation. This paying people now, this is where we are today. So there's a lot of history. No, we shouldn't give ourselves time. I'm saying rape is such a serious thing. I'm just saying where we are coming from, a lot of things needs to be done. You know, there's also a lot of education that needs to be done. A lot of people do not. There are some people that when you sit down and describe some rape situations to them, they don't see it as rape. You know, you mentioned one, the marriage one. That's one thing. You mentioned the grooming one, where someone puts you on their lap, and people don't understand that this is unacceptable. You know that there used to be a time where you see a little girl and a stranger will come, my fine wife. No, there was a time.
That's grooming.
Yes. Well, there was a time that a lot of people stood up and said, stop calling my child wife. I remember when I was having my children, I think it was such a heavy conversation at the time. You know, even my children, I told them, nobody should call you wife or husband. And I'd been somewhere and someone said that to my daughter and she told the person off and she reported, you know, the person to me. You have a call. You want to take it?
Undubisi has called in from Just. Sorry, I didn't want to break your story like that. Undubisi, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Yes. Honestly, this issue is a very bad issue. It might not be there. And the work of body is saying nothing way.
I'm struggling to hear you. The network is not so good, but you can continue.
Okay, so grooming, one of the ways for me that I did it with my children was I always insisted you don't collect gifts from people. You know, they say, little girl, come and take biscuits. Little boy, come and take sweets, you know. And then you know that uncle on the street that likes me, that every time I'm playing football with my friends, calls me aside and gives me, you know. And if the person gives it to you and you have taken, you must show it to me. And me too, I'll now go and meet you. Uncle, thank you. You did not have to. You know, sometimes you return the gift. No, we are fine. Thank you very much. As the parent, if your child was unable to...
So to establish that you have a strong relationship
with your child. And next time, if you say, no, I did not mean anything. I said, you can give it to me. Do you understand? So it's, when they are very young, you have to be right there and making sure that, you know, these undesirables don't get to your child. I had read somewhere about these criminals and how they target children. And one of these criminals was interviewed that, how do you pick a child, you know, that you molest? And he says, we can tell from how these children behave, those who are not getting enough parenting. You see children playing, that there are some parents, you just see them intermittently checking up on their children. He said there are some children that will be outside playing for a long time. There's no adult that has come out to see them. He said there's also the way a child is raised. You know, when you reach out to talk to them, you know that they've been taught at home not to speak to people they don't know or ask questions. Yes, but you have other children that just go with you. So they said that they sit down and watch how a child behaves, and they know that there are some things that they can get away with. There's really not a parent there that will make a fuss or would notice anything. So what makes grooming happen for a long time till it turns to proper rape is that you're able to get away with it for so long. The parent does not notice for a long time until then the big deal happens. So when it comes to little children, a lot of work has to be done by parents. A lot of supervision has to be done. Ask your children questions. If they want biscuits, you are the only one that can give them biscuits, you know. There's this thing that happened, this last one, when my son was really small. My brother-in-law, gave him biscuits. You know, they were playing on his side of the house. And they said that my son kept banging on the door. Open the door, open the door. He could barely speak. He was like, what happened? Open the door. He ran to me. He gave me biscuit because he wants to eat the biscuit. And he needs to take the permission right now so that he can eat the biscuit and go back. But so he was banging. Like, okay, you can have the biscuit and go back. Like,
so for me, I think it's important to teach our children to call the body parts and call things by their name. Because parents, for so long, they'll say, oh, this is your PP, this is your... No, call it by its name, right? Yes, call it by its name and teach the children their body parts. They should be comfortable with their body parts so that, and then you tell them that if nobody should go to this part of your body, nobody should touch on your thighs or this and that. So they know
what to watch out for. Right? But when we start petting things according to different names that you're not supposed to, then kids also get confused in the whole mix, right? Yeah. Yes. And then when you also talk about grooming, this grooming thing is not just about kids, because it also happens in your, you don't just talk about strangers. It also happens within your comfort zone. So let's talk about the rats in the house. Because the rat outside most times cannot come in without the rat in the house. And your comfort zone is cousins, uncles, right, aunties. Because if you notice, when we have conversations with most men, maybe your husbands, brothers, find that most of them were actually... Mainly for the men.
Most of them were not disvirgined properly. They were either molested by helps or certain things happened, or aunties, or their mothers, friends. So things really happened to them that they can't talk about. And then because of maybe the way the male body is wired, their mindset is totally different, but they have all the stuff. So when you speak to men, almost 80% of them have the same story. So those things were rape, those things were grooming, those things were assaults, right? Regardless of how we want to see it. And most times those things affect them psychologically and how the relationships they have with partners or with women or men later in the future. We like Nigerians, we all need therapy, but we don't know. We need therapy. We need to start speaking up. For so many things, it cuts across, like a lot is going on. And then like I had a situation where I went to the salon. This was in Port Harcourt. I recounted the same story just last week when my brother was around and we're out with friends and we're talking about things like this. And I said, this is something that can never leave my mind. Because I went to the salon to get my hair done and then to get my eyelashes done. And then you're supposed to there's like a bed, like a reclining chair where you have to lie down. And then this guy, there's a public space, and they now told me that they go to, there's a room where they do the lashes. Most salons, they'll tell you that they have a private room where, and then I'm wondering, but I'm enjoying the conversations happening in the salon. They said that they have to take me to the private place. So I went there, and this guy was reclining, and then he was rubbing on me. Wow. Yeah. That kind of thing, that something is happening to you, and then you're wondering in your mind, like I said, is this...
lashes make you push.
No, you're wondering, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it's my... See, you need to teach your children, you're not overthinking. If you think it, once you're not comfortable, it is what you think it is. And then I kept saying, okay, then I'll move myself and then you can take your call and then I'll come back. Yes, you can take your call out. So let's not keep the call.
Engineer Yemi, welcome to the show. Good morning.
My sister, God bless all of you.
Amen.
This topic, very interesting topic. I have two girls. Hello?
We can hear you. You're live.
I have two girls. I'm a widower, and they are twins. But you see, the way I nurtured them, I never get in a house help in my house. No house help. I keep training them on my own. They have their room. I have my own room. But each day I discuss with them, I used to tell them that whatever in your life you do, make sure you tell me. Whatever it is, make sure you call me. If anybody harass you, tell me. If anybody talk to you, tell me. And
you see, the issue of rape, Yoruba proverb used to say, "Come on, only for me." So you have to start nurturing them, training them, telling them that you don't hug your uncle. Yeah, I tell them, don't hug your uncle. Don't ask your uncle for anything. And in the situation where you ask him, tell me. If you tell me, yeah, since you have told me that you are asking your uncle for ABC, the only thing they ask for is data. They don't ask you for money. They don't ask you for anything. And we leave alone. But if anything like rape comes up, if either you blame yourself, which we don't pray for it. There's a film. I want all of you to watch that film, Time to Kill. If you watch that, you know what rape is. Rape is terrible to all of these children. We need to make sure it doesn't happen anymore. The father and the son, like what the other guy said, they need to put their pictures on the paper, newspaper, to tell everybody that this is what they did. I'm telling you out of reality that thing could make that girl to disturb her for the rest of her life. Because it's not something you want. It's not something you want. And you see, our police officers in Lagos, in Nigeria, they would never get justice for you. By the time the landlord gives them money, the case is closed. It's all about money. So you need...
Engineer Yemi, that's your opinion. We have some, I'm sure that there are amazing police officers who also go out of their way to fight for justice, even for those that without any financial incentive. Of course, I know that there are a few bad elements, but majority would actually take up the cases. We just need to pray that we find such people when if you are in challenges. We have another caller. Okudili there. Okay, Okudili is out. So you were saying
yes. So if
you feel it,
yes, you just say it. So I know when they're doing your lashes now, your eyes are closed, right? And then I kept noticing that I would move, this person would come closer to me, and then I just said no. This is not comfortable. Yeah, this is not, and I started shouting. And then I came out, I started shouting, and then I brought down the place. Yeah, I brought down the place because this has traumatized me, because it's in my head. You know, that kind of thing, like as in, you know, most times people don't understand that the simple things that they might think they do, it gets into your subconscious. And this is like over 10 years. And I brought down the salon, and they now told me, I called for the manager, everything, and they said that this is not the first time he has done that. Yes. And then there's some women encourage it. So what we need, when we talk about rape, we also need to talk about the aspect where people also encourage, where people, when they start...
that's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a different topic. Yeah. Because it's what boosts their confidence to want to keep trying the nonsense. It's crazy.
No, it's different.
There's consent.
Consensual is different.
It's terrible.
You can consent to a violent intimacy. That is different from rape. Rape is that you want to do, they are not doing, and you went ahead to
and so I made sure the guy was fired and everything, because like for me, it's a no-no. Like, how dare you do that?
So one of the things I noticed was when you were saying this grooming and the fact that they study the children to know which is more vulnerable. A lot of times girls, especially for women, girls that don't have a good relationship with their father are more vulnerable. Statistically, it's out there. You can if you want to check it. People that do not have a good relationship with a father figure, or not having that fatherly love, they say they are more vulnerable. And there's a grooming technique of asking if you know. Do you know that if I touch you here, it would be nice? Do you know? You know when she said, call it the right name? Oh, what do you call it? You call it PP? No. Do you know that's not the name? So they come to you like, we are trying to educate you. You don't know much. I want to, I'm more experienced. I want to give you more insight. I want to let you know what is going on. Do you know that you can make every man? When I see you, my body is shaking. As a full-grown man like this, my body will just start shaking. And the girl starts feeling a sense of power. It's grooming, and sometimes grooming can take as much as 2 years. They will be working until they feel like, okay, I can get it.
They are very patient.
Yes, what I want to do. So we owe it to open up the channel of conversation. Communication is powerful. Preemptive communication, all the techniques that can be used. As we are telling you on the show today, you go and sit down and discuss it with them. Because the last time we discussed something like this, I went back home and instituted, I don't want to see anybody naked in my house again, because I have boys hostel, but it doesn't mean that I should now allow the freedom that goes on. As I used to run around my house naked too because I'm an only child. I just run, just quickly want to go and pick something. And I didn't see anything wrong until I became a full grown, and I was hearing stories around. And I said, well, I thankfully, I had a very sheltered home. And I wanted to give my children that same freedom of being a child. They can run to my room. They say they want to take the cream from my room, and they are naked and they run back. But after the show, I realized they might be able to do it in my house, and it's okay. But if I don't set the boundaries, they might go to my in-laws' house or go to somebody else, because they're used to doing it in innocence. They will just do that running around, and they're exposing themselves. So after this, I had a conversation with them. This is a platform for learning. The things we're saying, have those conversations with the children, your neighbors, anybody you know that you care about. Discuss it with them, because the more we talk about it, the better we are going to be able to deal with this situation when it arises. Mariam, you want to say something? Or Nima?
I thought Nima.
Okay, so there's a very bad outcome of grooming that I handled in 2016. So this was a broken home situation. The father just walked out on the mom. She was helpless and was forced to leave her kids in the neighborhood. So she would leave them to themselves, 2 girls. And today, one of them is HIV positive.
Oh my God.
The other one is into drugs. And when she leaves them, while they are idle and she's walking to find food for them, by the time she comes back, they will just be calm. She didn't know they were being groomed for years to enjoying adult movies with a neighbor. And after a few years, they grew into the entire activity. The one that was talking to me before we found out the other one was HIV positive, she said she cannot do a second without it. So if she doesn't find somebody asking her for sex, she would go out and offer it to someone. So it can be extremely damaging of a person. These are not things that we take with levity. Because we are educating people, I would like to share some of this.
Yeah.
These girls can't function normally. The one that had HIV didn't even know she had ended up with someone with HIV and decided, okay, let's just marry here. And so, imagine a life like that where the person now becomes totally helpless, destroyed, can't have value to life. It's not good.
Oluwafemi has called in from Agboro. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Hello, Oluwafemi, you're live.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm so glad for this topic. It's part of the experience I have in where I was a kid in 7 years. I know my father is a missionary, and they have a house so that some people rented. But unfortunately, one of their tenants there, she's a lady. So I was 7 years old, and she's, if I can remember, I think she's 22 years old, and she's a hairdresser. So unfortunately, maybe I came from school, I would be with her, so she would take me to the room. I didn't sure, just she would tell me I should suck her breast and all that. Because that thing I get to a certain stage that I could not hold myself. When I was 10 years, that's when I now slept with her and all that. So those things has, enter me a lot. So that thing grew with me, and I began to battle with a lot of image things and all that. I could not control it. So but to the glory of God, when I was in Delta State, I'm a musician. So I would be drinking to take over those images of those things. But I got married, I told my wife and all that. But now I have 2 boys. So with what happened to me, because I won't be around to take care of my children. My wife went to work, but we normally get a guest to be with them, take them from school, be with them, and then take them from their lesson. But now what we do, with the experience that I have, because my father then and my parents, she's a nurse, so they don't have time to ask questions and all that. So, and I told my wife, I said, now I have 2 boys. What happened to me? I don't want the same thing to happen to them. So what we do, we test some people, they will pass. One girl, we tested it. What we did is that my wife will buy pint and brazier. She will give it. I will not wrap it as a gift. I'll give it to any lady that want to employ to what we done in the house. So if the person romance the gift and tell me, thank you, I love this, and say such bad thing, we know that this person cannot be accepted to teach or be with our children. So we let her go. So what happens is that there are a lot of...
Thank you so much, Oluwafemi, for sharing your story. Such a sad one, though. And that was like a 3-year grooming process. Zip up my dress, help me hook my bra, help me unhook my bra. we need to have this conversation. It's really sad, and even the one that Nima.
So I shared watching movies and leaving your
getting
kids
exposure.
But Miriam touched a very important point where check on your kids. So it's also important that kids have freedom to play, space to play, and all of that. But when you notice someone touch your child in a way the child is not comfortable with. So I am a hugger. My parents hugged me all my life. I think it's okay. I usually say to my child, that's your auntie, come and go and give her a hug. And one time, myself and my daughter were strolling. This man ordinarily would not greet me. I just noticed that he would greet me and I would greet him back because I'm just greeting and passing. But my daughter would say, stop touching me. He would do like he's touching her, stop touching me. And then I'm just playing with you. I went back and I said, she doesn't like it and that he has to stop. So I cut off that friendship one time, that familiarity. So let everybody know that when it comes to certain areas, especially about your wards and children under your watch, it is no. Once you cut it off, once they know that parents is strict, everybody will sit up around your child. When it's also dangerous is when you have relatives who have been sexually exposed visiting. You know, it's our dynamics of family in Africa where everybody is welcome. Yeah, the mama know they like him, husband people, the husband know they like wife people. Whereas there's someone within the family that the family is trying to protect, that they know is sexually dangerous around family members. It is important if you have that there's a collective voice against the child. We had a case of a boy who spent the holiday with his cousin and started, in fact, he was going to be living with that cousin. He was a child of a single mom, and the family members have always tried to empower him. He had lived with someone who knew of his exposure, and when he was living with another person, she joined voice when she raised the issue that he attempted to rape her child and said, hey, you don't want family members, until she brought the CCTV to show. And I said, he did it before. Why would you allow he did it before?
To go and visit someone without informing them. So
imagine the collective voice. We used to see it growing up where they say, no, you too spoil. So every time you visit person, you go to touch their pots. When they call that child out, when the child is even hungry in somebody's house, you go there like this. If you collectively, I don't know where you brought this habit from, but this habit does not represent the family. It helps the other person to speak up. Instead of silencing one person by shaming them that this is such a serious damaging action on anybody to allow under family protection and all of that. So what are we going to do? Are we going to leave him for his mother? You know, I had even raised the issue that maybe the mother, mother now we should ask you, how come? Abi, because you do not have husband, did you expose your child personally by yourself? So when you call it, you need to call it what it is. And you need to call it out as assertively as possible. When it comes to those kind of settings, don't allow it. It's my husband's friend. And what can I say? No. If it takes anything to tear clothes, it's not madness that they protect Pekin from where I'm from. Now nakedness, they take fight Pekin fight. You give me what exactly you think it takes to protect your child.
Some people, because you know what you just said now, that you would, whatever it takes to protect your child, you would do whatever it takes. How come in this particular case, and we've had other cases where they said the victim's mom was not cooperating. So that's this particular 14-year-old, the victim's mom was not cooperating in terms of prosecution. And then there was another case that happened, I think it was in this Iwaya, that place. There was this rape that took place, and the family actually did not, they said they were not going to prosecute. They wanted to let it go. They said that they have prayed, they are using spiritual solution to sort the child out. How do we deal with parents that do not want to? Now you feel this, they shouldn't even be parents because they're not fighting. They're not willing to put in the energy and the time to fight for the child that they have brought into the world.
Okay, so in situations like this now, we have to talk about societal shaming and bullying, right? Where people start, most times parents feel like the best way to protect my child is for people not to know that my child was raped. For people not to know my child was defied. Certain parts of the country or religions where the child has to be a virgin, you know, so they feel like, people should not know, so that let's maintain decorum and stuff. So people's reaction in that aspect comes from background, come from the background, environments they were raised in, what they believe. So it's important for society to also begin to educate people, educate parents, you know, educate mothers on the fact that if certain things happen, it's not about you. this child needs help. You need to call it as it is. You need to, getting justice for that child would help the child heal. You understand?
Yeah.
And then, because most time people want to protect family names.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, family names. Then the problem to people around you to gossiping and talking about it. You find out that this kid will go to school and other kids are discovering that conversation because of what they heard their parents discuss at home.
They now make the child the topic.
They now make the child the topic. So, you know, it spirals. So the parents of victims need to take responsibility. We too, as individuals and human beings too, also have to take responsibility. And also teaching our kids that when something happens to another person, it might not be you, but then this is how you should give empathy. This is what you should do. This should be your reaction. You should be kind. You should be nicer. You know, it's not just about this as a rape victims. How about their friends, their schoolmates? They need to have this information. How do you teach your kids at home to be kind to someone that is a victim of any type of assault?
Not mocking them.
Yes, not mocking them. Or if your friend comes to you at school to say, oh, this happened to me, what should I do? You need to also get your own child to know the response to give that other child. Moving to, you know, to move with it or to say, okay, let's go and report to the teacher. Let's, you know, it's a collective responsibility, not just of the victim, yes, but even of parents and the society at large.
Obviously, with the way Amaka has just explained it, it shows that the parenting has to be done by a parent that's aware, that's educated and exposed to these conversations as well, and understands what it is that is important
Why you are
and
doing
how.
this.
Yes. So we do have the country that we're in right now. There's a large number of Nigerians that are not aware of how to handle things or how to have the conversations. Like I mentioned earlier, we're a society that's coming from giving rape victims off to marriage to their perpetrators. We're a society where some of us are collecting compensation, monetary compensation for behavior that's been done, or coming to call us together and saying, oh, do not do, we're sorry about what has happened, and just for the sake of peace, we move on. So there are a lot of, you know, education that needs to go on at the level of parents, level of teachers, but who's going to do that? You know, many people have, churches, mosques, but you know, I hear people always say that, you know, before you become a parent, you should get like a license, like when you're doing like driving school. Maybe parents need to go to parenting school, then get a license before you start having children. There's just so much that's happening because your parents do not even have the right education. Then talking about how people will talk about you, you know, it's not necessarily from poor backgrounds that this happened. We've seen people that come from much aware, backgrounds or have have a lot of money, and because of their name, they want to shut it down as well, to protect the name of that family, to protect that sort of shameful thing did not happen to that family, you know, and that is because we have somehow always found a way to blame the victim. And in this case, we're all to blame. Do you understand? There's not one person that is the reason why people victim shame. Yes, unconsciously we do that. When we talk about it, we ask some questions.
How are you wearing?
You know, yes, the way she even dresses me, I have to say. Remember when Me Too came out, when a lot of the Me Too movement in America, when a lot of the actresses were complaining, there were some actresses that said, well, why hasn't it ever happened to me? Because I don't even dress like this, I don't dress like that. We miss, in that conversation, we miss what is important.
Even comments on social media. Somebody was saying, is it this small bomb that they are raping?
Exactly.
Somebody wrote that.
Can you imagine? Of a 14-year-old girl.
Imagine.
So for me, what you're saying, the education part,
yes, there's a whole work.
From movies, series, talking about it. But I also feel like, why would family members not want to prosecute a case? Because they don't know the implication of their silence. So the more we know the implication of our silence, the more we are willing to step out and carry the shame. I would rather shame me, but this one, you're not getting away with it. My child will be the last you abuse, because I would rather be the one that everybody will talk about. Let them face me. I'm the mother.
I hear you,
but
but
not
I've heard
everybody's
people
that
say to
confident.
a parent like that, call her aside or call him aside and say, calm down. Nothing's going to come out of this. You're only going to shame and expose your child more. Take this money, leave this area, and move on.
Let's talk about payouts. Lima.
No,
is it legal to talk about for them to...
Of course not.
No, but is it, if you find out that a rapist transferred money to the survivor and the parent of the survivor, what can the government do? Not this one now that
Payouts can,
So they can be brought in under enablement because, you know, yeah, they're escaping, they're helping the perpetrator escape
by taking fees.
By taking fees. So, and you know, recently there was one state that amended their own ACGL to compel that when parents do that, they also become part of the perpetrator and they'll be prosecuted along. But I wanted to talk about the preachers and the term forgiveness. So when you're looking for that justice, you're supposed to be, they call you toxic, they call you unforgiving, they call you a lot of things. So insist on the right thing being done doesn't mean you're unforgiving.
Exactly.
No. Successfully, in this Lagos state, there was a girl I handled watching brief for, and her mom stood the entire hall, took years, to see to the prosecution, the conviction, and sentencing of her rapist. And when I see her mom today, now that justice has been served, even during trial, she didn't look like someone that was unforgiving. What she just wanted was closure for her daughter.
Yes.
And as a parent, when you can stand it, at least do it for the victim. Don't let the person be a victim twice. You know, see it through for the sake of the victim. Forgiveness is of you know, that's of the Lord.
But there should be, but you will still face the consequences for your actions.
You know how important consequences? Consequence is what changes society.
Yes.
It deters people, and you know, people know that there's something that's going to happen. While we are here, Miriam gave the example of marrying victims to their rapists. It has been enabled in society. I gave the example of family members say, okay, wait till you come one day, we'll do to the pikin. As if we go pound and chop. Let there be consequences strong enough that, you know, sends a message.
Yeah.
I have read books as a young girl, and I have seen as an adult that cousins rape cousins on holidays when you gather them and throw them anyhow. So a person coming into your space, even though they're family members, if they're not of your family values and you cannot ascertain the grooming of the child, you can say no. And it does not mean you hate the person. Because if the mother is someone that when you say, this pikin, you do something, say, hey, don't judge my pikin. Please, keep your pikin.
Yes. So.
Yes, let us keep our pikins.
Exactly.
Let everybody keep their
your
pikins.
house.
We will visit you and go back home.
Because it is a community that raises a child. And we should be able to say to each person, when there was an attempted rape on me as a young girl, and I came out, I spoke. In fact, I did not tell my mother privately. I was just looking at her. She was having a gist with her friends. We were preparing evening. I was like, you're sitting here and somebody just attempted to rape me. My mom turned back and said, you say waiting.
The community of women.
And so she went crazy. The women rallied and held her. She ran to the boy's mom, and the boy's mom said, isn't not this one that all her friends are boys? You know, that was the comment she said. And then she went on and on, tried to make it seem like the women immediately said, you see this pikin, she can be everything playful, but this pikin, no, they talk anyhow. And so the women gathered. Collectively, you speak up, or everybody keep their words the way you have raised them. And you know, when society repairs each bad egg, we can eventually have a sane, safe society. We have not even talked about rape of boys, and you mentioned it, but the rape of boys, you know, me as a parent of two genders, when I saw the extent of rape of boys and the unreported part of it in Nigeria, fear catch me. I wanted to put my boy in a football academy all these years. All I think about is, if I don't have the time to sit through every training, make it no go. He's been at home with me. Because you don't know. The boys, the girls, you know, we discussed it, so girls would come out and say, I felt a touch. Boys don't know. Everything is play until it happens. And the anal rape of boys, thank God the VAP Act was what I was saying. That the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act has extensively covered it to define every area. But boys also get raped. And so when we are doing this advocacy of talking about girls and how to protect girls and how to prevent grooming of girls, please let's extend it excessively and talk about boys as well.
We need to, definitely. It is very, very important. I also know of a fact that when you were talking about the fact that this forgiveness thing, which is a cultural and religion-based sentiment that pulls people back from prosecuting. Well, I cannot be seen. I'm asking God for forgiveness, and I'm unwilling to forgive someone that raped my... They are two different things. So it was something that happened in my church where my pastor prosecuted a publisher. Those that they published his book, sued the publisher, and it was a case of social media started talking. Then we happened like over 10 years ago. He had to come to the pulpit and say, I deliberately did it. That because many of these what's the word? Those people that duplicate
media.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that-
Pirates.
Pirates. Many of the pirates know that they get away with duplicating, pirating Christian-based materials because they know that the pastors and churches would not prosecute them. So it is taken for granted. There's never been a case prior to that time where a pastor was prosecuting someone for piracy of CDs, and they were like, it's the gospel of God that is still spreading. Let's just leave it. No. I can leave the gospel. This is my book. My book is not...
It's a culture that we have.
So,
remember when we talked about, celebrities that will come out because someone on social media is insulting them. If you're the one that decides to sue it or seek for prosecution, you're the devil.
You're the devil.
The person that is misbehaving is immediately forgiven of all their misbehavior, no matter what the impact of that misbehavior is.
because they apologized.
No, they don't need to apologize.
Away.
In fact, you don't need to apologize, as we saw in the towing case. All you have to do is be a celebrity that has the mind to seek prosecution of someone that has done something for daring to do the right thing.
So why should we continue to prosecute? Why should we, as a society, we need to support those who take the side of suing these people, because the more we do it, when we support them, we show as a society that we are against this and we don't support it. And then what you don't support would organically reduce within society. We have lots of comments on YouTube, and I think we should take a lot of them. We should take a lot of them. There's a lot being said on YouTube that would help to bring this conversation into conclusion. I have some here. Someone, Folashade says, rape cases should not be swept under the table. Please, parents should be their children's friend for them to tell them what happens when they are when they are not with them. Be your children's friends. Kore says the parents are not parenting. You won't play with the parents. The economy is not smiling. Mom and dad live for daily bread. No time to properly parent and monitor the children.
Ajayi Eunice says, I have of my daughter being raped, but I don't have money to fight the case, even go to police. She's even pregnant right now.
Oh, Lord.
I need help.
Oh, Lord.
Case of rape. Please contact me.
Oh,
That's such a sad story.
I'm telling you.
How do we resolve the issue of funding this? Another valid reason people don't prosecute is because they can't even afford to take the time to go to the police station, take the time from work, take the transportation to go to the police station, because if you're prosecuting a case, you need to show up. Every time they call you, you need to show up, and it costs money.
I won't lie to you that if I were to do a rape case report, I would not go to the police station in my neighborhood.
Why?
Because of experience. So even the one we had to be sent back to First Act to do documenting. I would go straight to Ikeja or Kwanti, because you want to see serious officers who will capture what you're going through well. You don't want to meet someone who will waste your time. And then sometimes you get there, they don't have the kits. The primary health care centers, sometimes they run out. So you would really like that the departments involved in the state ministries have provision. Then there's a blessing in the state we live in presently, in the DSVA. They know they run out of kits there. They have their partnerships, they ensure. But people don't know, even in abuses that happen within, just go. Let somebody incident it. Paper trail has saved women, saved a lot of people. But, when you sit down, Talo Magbami, we do that. There's this narrative of, who
will help me?
Yes, I've always said it. You are the first person to assert your right. You are the first person to defend your right. That person you are looking for maybe might be in an unavailable case. Their schedules are not allowing. One person said, you have to come and pick my child to go to the DSVA. No. You are to be willing to take your child all the way to ensure that, the proper things are done. And education is also...
Moses Lowell says, just try to dedicate a day to discussing sexual abuses of boys.
Today. Oh, boys.
And you will be beyond shocked. So many suffered and are suffering abuses.
Yeah, so I think we should really dedicate a day to discuss boys, and then people calling in with their experiences let's
therapist
yeah,
or a
yes,
psychologist
have it.
around.
Yeah, it's a therapist, psychologist around. Let's push that narrative, because I'm sure so many fathers, most times, they don't even think about that, especially the ones that didn't go through that experience. So most times, you know, it just won't occur to them, and maybe they have boys. Let's push that narrative and see.
Because boys don't get pregnant.
And see what comes out of it.
It's also the important part of parenting. Let's call out bad parenting.
Yeah.
When we see it, this kind of case of landlord, let's call out ourselves when we have failed to protect our children. You know, when we talk of dressing, it'd be like, say, get us.
That's really
It's also important that when you're sending your child out, you make it impossible that they are violated.
All right, so that's all we can take on the show for today. We've spent the day talking about abuse, how to protect ourselves, how to educate ourselves. If you missed any part, please watch all through again. We shared a lot of nuggets, and let's normalize this conversation around grooming, around reporting. Let's support the survivors and attack and speak against the perpetrators of this terrible act. That's all we can take again today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.